everyone. Welcome back to our latest installment of MSP Business School. I'm Brian Doyle, and with me again today, I've got Rob Rogers and Tim McNeil. What's going on, guys?
How you doing?
Doing great.
How's the day going?
Good. So today's episode is kind of branching out off of an episode we did recently about the hiring process and recruiting and how to go about getting good candidates. But then we got some questions from some of our listeners and said, okay, you're helping me figure out how to hire, but how do I present my offer? And what are the plans I should be considering when going into this? And what are my expectations as it relates to those plans? Maybe some of the metrics that support our sales rep as well. So, I thought maybe we could dive a little bit deeper into that today and, discuss that. So, Rob, you want to lead off on this one?
Sure. I'll start it off with, one of the plans. So it depends on the type of rep that you're discussing. So like for our purposes here, we'll talk about the new logo rep. The rep that's out there, he's the hunter, she's the hunter, and their job is to totally bring in, new logos. And how do you set up a compensation plan that is fair to them and fair to the company? I'll kind of start it off here, Timmy, and jump in, please, whenever you hear some stuff. But we set up our compensation plans in a three-phased approach, right? You have your base, then we add in an activity bonus, a monthly activity bonus. And then on the end of that, we have a commission, right? That's based on the deal size and what they're doing on the MRR space. Mm-hmm. So for the base and the activity bonus, the reason that we kind of split out the salary and give part of it as an activity bonus, it still equals kind of what you want to pay as a base. But the reason we kind of split it out is to give that rep an opportunity to have a win at the end of the month. Because in our industry, you prospect a lot in a lot of different ways, right? And you get a lot of no's. And your first deal could not come for 4 months, 5 months, maybe 6 months down the road from when you start. That sucks, right? That's not fun. And if you didn't get lucky in those first couple of months in the deal proposal and the sales funnel takes 6 months, all that time you're just getting no after no after no. So what we did was we split out the salary a little bit. And it's a $500 activity bonus, but it's a way to give them wins at the end of the month. You make all your calls, you do all your activities, you do all the things that you're supposed to do, and you get your activity bonus. It's a way to get that feel of getting more money when you're not at that big, closing of that big deal, right? So that's how we set up our plans here.
Yeah, and we've the sales activity point system that we have set up. It's realistic, it's attainable. Basically, if a rep doesn't get it, then there's a lot of red flags. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you don't have to put in work to do it. You absolutely do. In fact, we kind of know that if you work the system right, at least based on the point system that we've historically used, if you work that system right, it should start generating appointments, and there's points at every different phase of the sales cycle, whether it's prospecting, discovery call, proposal meeting, etc. So again, it's attainable, but it's also something to catch as a red flag if that salesperson doesn't hit that number. Generally, from what we find to be Sean Walsh, who is it's Rob and I's business coach. We had him on, a few months back. One of the things that he's always told us is if you've got a salesperson and they walk out of an appointment where they just closed a deal, if they can't figure out in about 3 to 4 seconds a really close estimate of what their commission is going to be on that deal, it's too complicated. So keep it simple. Yeah. What we tend to see as trends, and this has been pretty consistent, is if you sell a lot of MSPs are 2 to 3 years. Some are doing the Haas at 5 years, but we'll just keep it simple at the 2 to 3 years. 2-year deal. If you close it as a salesperson, you should be getting one month's worth of commission. If you close a 3-year deal, you should be getting 1.5 months worth of commission. Now, as a
That's on the MRR, right, Tim?
That's on
Yes.
the MRR,
Yeah.
not on the hardware. It's on only the MRR, not on the hardware. And also what I tend to recommend to the MSP owner is spread that out over a couple months so you're not getting killed right out of the gate. I think we're all aware that when an MSP starts a relationship, they tend to put more hours up front. And it's just if you spread out that commission over a 3 to 6 month period, one, it's kind of an annuity for the salesperson. It's a break for the business owner, and it keeps everything in line a little bit.
It keeps the rep engaged in the account as
Exactly.
well. Like if you need the rep to come in and, run interference when the sales engineer is out there doing their job, they'll do it, right? Because they have a vested interest in doing it.
Yeah.
I will say that part of what our commission plan does, you incentivize what you're trying to get out of the rep.
Mm-hmm.
If a 1-year deal is bad for your company, then you have to decrease the available commission for that 1-year deal, right? If you have a 1-year auto renew, like an evergreen, then, I would never, hurt the rep. I would never take away money, right? But if you have a 1 year and then they can get out of it without doing a lot of, hoops, then the rep would only get 75% of that first month of that 1 month's commission, because you're trying to, de-incentivize that rep for going for that one. If they sell a 1-year deal because they couldn't get to a 2-year deal, that is a failing on the salesperson's selling ability, right? So it puts more risk on the ownership in the company. So that's why we kind of do that. And then like as the deals goes up in years, you add 0.5 to each. So a 3-year deal is 1.5, a 4-year deal is 2, and you pay them out in over time on those deals.
And also, I think a really important thing to cover when you're about to hire a salesperson and you're talking about the compensation plan, generally speaking, if you're an MSP that can hire a salesperson, it stands to reason that you're probably a little more mature in the whole operational maturity level. So ideally, you're getting leads from multiple sources, whether it's inbound, marketing strategies, etc. If people are hitting your website and that salesperson is getting those leads, that should be a company generated lead. So it's whatever the commission is minus 25%, because the house had to put resources in other places to make sure that that lead came in. And the salesperson didn't hunt it. It doesn't mean that they don't run with it from beginning to end, but they didn't have to hunt it. So because of that, there's a 25% reduction.
I have never met a salesperson that chafed at that, right? You're telling me that I only have to give up 25% and I don't have to do any prospecting for, like it takes a long time to do these prospecting. So, we found that to be very successful, and it's just a way to put money back into the pot so they can get more of those marketing qualified leads in the door.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why.
No, and I agree with you totally, right? I mean, free gift horse, right? You're never going to say no to giving up a little bit to get something with reduced effort. So I think that's beautiful. So you've covered off a little bit on the plans. Let's talk about an area where I think a lot of folks stumble. I think I just saw it recently with a company that I'm affiliated with, stumbling a little bit on that too. How do you put forth the offer to a sales rep? What is the best way?
Let me start off by asking a question, Brian. You've been in sales for a long time, sales management for a long time. When you present your proposal, if your rep emailed a proposal, would you be happy or sad if they emailed the proposal to the prospect?
Fit to be tied.
Yeah. So then why would you do that to a rep you're trying to sell on coming into your company?
No.
Right? That's a meeting. You go to lunch. You take that person out to lunch, let them know what you guys are thinking and make it a face-to-face. Use your skills and, make it a face-to-face meeting, right? That way you can see if there's like a little eye twitch, like you can see something that's going wrong in the deal and you can use your skills.
Well, and also I would add, look, one thing which we had talked about in one of the previous podcasts, having multiple phases to the recruiting process, early and often, talking about first year opportunities or first year earnings and
Yes.
second year earnings. So when you get to that offer letter stage, you just kind of, and look, there are people, we've seen it a bunch of times. In fact, we kind of had a loose conversation around that before this podcast, that sometimes even when you talk to the candidate about what the base and first year earnings is, sometimes that gets lost in translation.
Yeah.
Right. It's setting realistic expectations early and often about what the base is. If you're willing to do that bonus, what the bonus would be and what that commission would be. And just flat out ask the salesperson, like, what do you need in your first year? And kind of back out or back into, what does that mean for a base salary?
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody's very tight-lipped when it comes to the base, because everybody's been coached to, you don't want to leave money on the table, you don't want to leave money on the table, you don't want to leave money on the table, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, I think candidates got to know too, if you don't give us at least a range as a hiring manager, it becomes very difficult to say, how can we make the best plan for you? Or are you priced out of our market, right? You know, if you're not there, you may have responded to a job, but as you know, most sales jobs have on their range, it's a 20-25 grand spread on what the earning potentials are when you look up the job offer. So that is a question. Before we jump off this topic, though, I was just thinking, as you guys were talking about the in-person, and similar to a sales call, Rob, going back to what you had said, it really gives you a chance for a trial balloon too, because you're not committed yet to the offer, right? You can really see, hey, is this person even responding excitedly to this, or are they already so disappointed it just doesn't matter, or so disappointed that I might have to take a different tact and not formally offer in that moment, but take a step back and say, hey, great, based on what we have today, let's go on the concept of, we are going to be extending you an offer. Now I just want to refine the
and Brian, think about this. You get to see how they handle the uncomfortable money conversation with the person across the table from them. So it's a really good way to see how they're going to handle those types of situations, right? So I just think that somewhere along the line, I mean, clearly you have to email them, all the T's and C's and, all that kind of stuff. But somewhere along the line, you need to have that uncomfortable money conversation to see how they handle it, and just to see. I mean, it's still part of the sales negotiation that you guys are doing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, if they can't ask for the check, then how are they going to ask for the check during the sales process?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to that original statement of, they do the greatest job of selling themselves, but now you're really selling, right? Because now it's time to actually feel confident in what you're worth. And if you're saying you're worth 100, but then when you're called to the carpet to it, you're not able to defend your position, you probably weren't making 100.
That's right.
And I tell you, if somebody tried giving me less money than I was already making, you'd know it.
Exactly.
There would be a conversation.
I mean, look, that is the reality.
Well, guys, I mean, this might be a short and sweet one. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add, but I think that's great input in terms of plan and offer. Tim, Rob, anything you think we haven't covered that might be valuable for our listeners?
We've talked about keeping it simple, and Tim said a very good line. If the rep can't come out of that discovery meeting knowing what they're going to earn, then your plan is too complicated. You've got to be able to make a plan where the rep can say, okay, there's 25 people in this account, we charge $150 per person per month. Boom, I know what it is going to be. I'm going to go for a 3-year deal. They can do all that. One of the things that we didn't talk about is, if you have more than one salesperson, what if you have a hunter and a farmer? What if you have a hunter and a BDR, right? If you have a team, I've always been under, I love plans where you also give a kicker if they go above the team goal, right? So this is for those teams that, maybe you attach marketing inside of your sales department, and, they're responsible for getting a little kicker as well. Consider putting in a team-based percentage if they go over 125% to goal for that quarter, right? Like, make it a little kicker in there. I love those because it fosters teamwork between people instead of silos, right? Silos can be harmful, right? So if you put something in there, and clearly there's rules for, when did he start? Is he doing his job? And, all those kind of things. But putting in kickers to foster teamwork in a multi-pronged department is a good thing. And I've seen more success with it than failure.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And for those that have been in the corporate world, that's how a lot of the bonus structures work too, where it's a two-sided structure. There's a bonus you're in control of and a bonus that's tied to the corporate profitability, but then that's discretionary at the manager level to the team based on those factors you just talked about, Rob. So, the team owner gets the pool and then they decide how they're going to slice the pool based on, hierarchy, longevity, and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah. But, when you talk about something like that, what kind of percentages are we talking about, right? I think it's safe to give, because most MSPs that I've worked with, they're doing backwards. Hey, we're at 40% gross margin before we, on our projects. We're already paying then our SG&A is another 8%, and that's us down to 32% on average on the deal. And we're going to cut a commission of 10% of that, or whatever your number is based on your calculations there. There's only so much pie to go around. So what what kind of kickers are you talking about? And what do you see being enough to get that incentive? Because 25% on top of that quota, that is a difference maker.
It is a difference maker. And then, Tim, you want to go first or?
No, go ahead.
So what we do is we do it on a monetary scale based on the 125%, right? So we look and see where are your margins inside of there where that's pretty much clear for your profit. You don't have to hire there. Did you have to hire in there? It comes out of that. So all the questions that typically come we only do it on monetary numbers because you can't do it off of a straight percent. So if you're at 125% to goal and you give 2% back to the team, that 2% could be really bad, right? Because you had to hire 2 extra techs this quarter because, your sales team did so great and you're really upside down. So we do it through available money based on that 125% to goal. And it's known at the end of the quarter. So that's how we do it. And then it's split across the team.
Yeah. And I think it's very important to focus, especially in the sales world. I think it's very important to focus on the quarter when it comes to bonuses. Don't focus on the months. Yeah. Focus on the quarters. Doesn't matter how good or how bad a salesperson is. The best salespeople in the world still have up and down months. They just do. So focus on the quarter. It's pretty rare that you're going to get a high performer. Like you'll have a high performer that has a down month or two here or there. Yep. It's pretty rare that they're going to have a down quarter. Right. So that's a big takeaway for me. It's just focus on the quarters.
Yeah. And we're not talking huge money here, right? We're talking a $500 kicker for each person.
That's really where I was trying to get down to is what's out of the brass tacks and all that.
Yeah. So this isn't some, groundbreaking, bank draining type of thing. This is something that's significant enough that they go, wow, I'm going to go give this to my husband or go give this to my wife and I'm going to be a hero. Like it's just enough to, make them feel even better.
4 times a year, it's $2,000, right?
That's $2,000 that they weren't getting at the other company who didn't have that kicker.
For many people, I'd say that's a summer vacation, right?
Yep. 100%. Yeah. And it stops people from sandbagging, stops the rep from sandbagging deals, right? You know what I mean? Where they don't turn in the deal. You remember the game, where they don't turn in the deal at the end of this quarter.
I was on a weekly quota. Let me tell you the deals I made when our team was short and I was holding in the bag, Sandy the sandbagger. Yeah. I got new suits. For those of you that are old enough to remember Today's Man, I got new suits for sometimes giving up my quota because there was always the same negotiations were going on my side. If I give you this contract today, I'm going to have nothing next week. I'm going to be hero to zero, man. So what's up? But I would negotiate for suits. I would negotiate for future split commissions. I would negotiate for all kinds of good stuff. That's not a good trait to have. I mean, it's okay, but you don't want your sales reps doing that kind of stuff.
Your sales, and not that they, are nefarious, right? It's just it's human nature.
Reality.
Opportunistic, Rob.
Yes, I was trying to say it nicely. Right. Fellas, that brings us right about to the end of our time. Do you have any closing thoughts before we move on here? Now that we know that Brian is a historical sandbagger.
Yeah.
Taking care of the business of me, buddy.
That's right. That's right. Hey, we've all done it. Okay, so that's about it, fellas, for this one. This episode will be up on mspbusinessschool.com and anywhere that you get your podcast, to include YouTube. So, as always, I appreciate you both. Thank you for this one. I love talking about all these operations and sales strategies, and this is my thing. I get pretty pumped up talking about this one. But as always, take care, and I wish you guys the best.
Guys, have a great one.